No heroes. No heroes. No heroes, baby.
Welcome Today we are in for another 10-round tournament. I don't hope so. No, I'm joking. Today I am accompanied not by Abra. I'm today with Ben. Some people know him already. He was one of the cast that commentated the finals this year in Utrecht.
This January doesn't feel like it's this year, but
for the last year's finals in this year. So yeah, Ben, if you want to say something, a few words.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning to everyone that's tuning in. Pleasure to be here. Really interested to see what this event brings. Obviously, in the EB01 format, there's not a lot of events that have been able to be held in this format, but it's a really kind of interesting one to dig your teeth into. Obviously, just a couple of weeks or so away now from the fabled Sakazuki ban. But we're already starting to see a little bit of impact of that as well, and players preparing for what comes next, especially with the deck that won yesterday as well. I'm told and I heard.
Yeah, I was a doubter. I need to be honest. Like, I was thinking like, okay, Black Yellow Luffy cannot be as strong, and Abba told me like on stream and off stream, bro, this deck is crazy. It can do, it's good into most of the decks. It has a 50-50 matchup against Red Purple Law. Maybe it's a bit unfavored, but if you are good as a pilot, this deck is crazy good. I'm like, all right, let's see. And then it won back-to-back. The last noHEROES tournament, it won. Yesterday it won, and maybe it's gonna win today. Like, I'm having my trust in Law still, but let's see how we're gonna have, how many decks that we have in the top cut that are not Black Moria and Sakazuki.
Yeah, it's interesting as well, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people expected Red Purple Law, with the support that it gets, and it has gotten in EB01, to sort of skyrocket into popularity, right? That Kid and Killer is one of the major targets.
Indeed.
But this black yellow Luffy deck, I've played against it at my locals for a few times now, and it just has this uncanny ability to just snowball and go out of nowhere. Like, it gets down to that sort of 1 to 0 life range, and my opponent just usually goes, right, okay, now I can play the game, and all of a sudden you've got these rush aces coming forward, you've got these Luffys that are coming forward, the Sabo blockers that just keep recurring out of trash and in through life. It's a really dangerous deck to be on the opposite end of, but I'm sure, and I imagine that our players will have tested that matchup thoroughly. There will be ways, as there is with any deck, to beat it. What that way is, though, hopefully we'll find out.
Yeah, indeed. But the problem is, this deck is not even at full power. OP07 brings out another Luffy that's just good. Like, that card is just good. Like, I thought when I was in UK last week playing the OP06 meta, when I saw Black Yellow Luffy, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do, right? They don't have Flampe, they cannot take their own life, but I'm like, oh, okay, they can cook. I need to let them cook. And with EB01, so many new decks came into play. I mean, we saw it yesterday. We had Ivankov on stream being undefeated, which was crazy to me. We saw Kaido being undefeated also in like round 5 or 4, and I'm like, whoa, Kaido? Like, without even OP08, Black Moria. I'm like, it's good. There's a lot of interesting decks that are coming to the rise, and also some decks that gain popularity again. I mean, I mentioned earlier Law. My favorite deck. We saw ST13 Ruffy also, which to my surprise was also undefeated until I think round 7 or something like that. Which, I mean, it's a solid deck. It's just hard to pilot with 3 life. I think there's no leader that it has lower life than him yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah.
But
the egghead leader that comes out will be equal to or lower.
I mean, it's gonna be 2, but cheating out a body for 1 down every turn is like pretty good. I mean, he cannot attack, but it's fine. But yeah, as we are speaking, our beautiful host Burak is picking up a match So we're just trying to wait and see what beautiful matchup we have. I didn't personally check what unique decks we have, but I might as well have a quick look at it
I'm
while
sure
I'm
there's
waiting.
a lot. I'm sure there's quite a few that are littered about the tables at the moment. We've got about 1,000 or so players, I think, from the count, which is insane, incredible. It just continues to show the strength and the power that this community has, and that this card game has in general as well. And obviously the innovation that comes with that. So it's always a really exciting time to be able to see these tournaments in action, as it looks like our players are starting to get themselves set up in our feature match area.
That is indeed. Let's have a quick look. We're gonna have surprise. I was talking about the devil, and we're gonna have a law mirror match. I think Buck is still talking to the players, briefing them about what's about to happen. So we're gonna switch in just a second. But what are you guys thinking that it's gonna top? I told I'm expecting Law to be in the top tables again. I would be not surprised this time to see Black Yellow Luffy. I would assume Ben has the same, is thinking about the same thing.
Yeah, I think so.
1 second. I'm reading in chat that the judge came in to tell us there will be a new pairing. We did not get any sort of information. So, all right. We got another match. I was just pulled onto the wayside.
We got pulled. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's even better.
That's why we've been pulled. We got some serious spice.
1 second though. If our beautiful hoster would bring us in regarding if there's gonna be a repairing or not. I would assume not so, but maybe he can answer me. Well, we would just assume there's no repairing. Also, before the match is gonna start, Richard, thanks for the Prime sub. We also mentioned it yesterday, but for the people that are new this time, if you have Amazon Prime and you didn't use your Prime sub yet, this is a good place to start. You can easily see all the VODs from yesterday and from today's stream, so you can just rewatch the stream in its entirety. And I'm also having the feeling that my cam froze while I'm at it, so I'm just gonna quickly look over it and just laugh about it. But anyways, if you have your Amazon Prime sub ready, you can just leave a sub there. You can also follow us on Instagram and on YouTube. You can see it down below. And also, if you type out Instagram, Insta and Instagram !YouTube. I hope. I'm not so sure. Yeah, there we go. So you can leave a follow there. But yeah, DOFLAMINGO against Black Yellow Luffy. It's been a while since I saw DOFLAMINGO. I mean, the last time I heard about the deck was in OP05 when Birdcage was introduced and people were testing out janky list of locking down the board. And I think against a deck like Black Yellow Luffy that has most of the time just 5 costs that they want to spam out besides Moya, I think it would be really funny to see that. We don't know, or I mean, if we know, we couldn't even disclose the information. But how would you think? How do you feel about Birdcage in DOFLAMINGO?
Yeah, it's an interesting, like you said rightly, sort of innovation and tweak that was made during the sort of the 05 and 06 metas. That Birdcage card coming out, and it is a really weird stage. I've been Birdcaged before, and it's not a great feeling. But yeah, like you said rightfully, I think it's going to have some really interesting interaction with this matchup. Like you say, trying to get out all of those sort of and cheat out all of those 5 costs. It just slows down the sort of aggression that this Black Yellow Luffy deck can come out towards that mid to late game stage, where this deck becomes really favored, which is interesting because both these decks you consider to be sort of mid to late game decks. Great DOFLAMINGO with that big 10 cost being able to rest things down and shut the game down a little bit. I'm really interested to see what the interaction is going to be like, but I do think that Birdcage might just be the deciding factor.
Yes, indeed, true. And if I see correctly, the players already started. So I would assume. Oh, yes, McCam. Hey, but yeah, we're gonna switch over in just a second to just talk about what happened in the meantime. DOFLAMINGO is the turn player, and okay, we are switching over. Anyways, DOFLAMINGO started. He just passed and put it on active, and Rafi used the search event to pick up a Kid Sabo, I think.
Yeah, that's the Kid Sabo. So wanting to get that engine going early, another Three Brothers Bond as well straight away. That's sort of your ideal turn one going second.
That is true.
As this black yellow Luffy deck, being able to get 2 searches going, be able to find those youngsters. There is the ace, I believe that is the rush ace though, the 5 cost.
This man is playing his entire deck. I would feel like in highware, but I digress. So now DOFLAMINGO on free Don. It's not a lot I think you can expect here, but the sugar. I mean, it's not vesting something right now, but making sure that everything that comes into play is going to be tapped.
Yeah, a little unfortunate to have that as your only play in your 3-Don turn. Obviously, you get the 2 back with the leader ability. For those that need reminding of what DOFLAMINGO leader does, it's been a while since we've seen it. At the end of your turn, restand up to 2 Don to active. Ideally, in the early stages, if they play it, you want to be getting the baby 5, that DOFLAMINGO Pirate Searcher, getting that going early, and being able to sort of get the tools going. Obviously, play that sugar down, ideally, on this next turn alongside that searcher.
Indeed. And also, sugar using her on opponent's turn effect to tap the Flampe and paying the price to go down, being attacked by Rafi. And Flampe being a good card to just make sure that you don't get staffed and get a lot of card draw, because drawing from your life and drawing from your deck is like essentially being a Whitebeard without being Whitebeard. And we see an attack. All right, clearing the Flampe, making sure that there's nobody on the board, and we're gonna see
the Birdcage.
Oh, well, we don't need to think about it. We don't need to question whether or not it's gonna be played. We have Birdcage, so if people don't know, it's on the stream right now. If you have 10 done, at the end of your turn, KO all vested 5 costs, then trash the stage. And purple has a lot of ways to reduce your done to not be at 10 with like 7 cost kids. So it's gonna be quite a long game, I think. And we see, I think, the third Brothers Bond.
That is the third Three Brothers Bond, fetching the blocker Sabo there. So we know that there is the Kid Sabo in the hand already. That was searched off the first Three Brothers Bond of the game. 6k swing now into life from the leader Luffy.
And it's a consideration of just countering out.
Yeah, it looks like that it's just going to be a debate of whether he wants to try and counter this one, but I think it's correct here just to take the life. It's still early in the game. You want those resources, and there's no harm in wasting it.
Oh, we see a Perona. I mean, I mentioned it yesterday. I was surprised also yesterday, but I've seen a lot of Peronas recently in this deck, which I thought like, okay, Perona is just a more rare card, you don't use it, but just removing a card off the hand from your opponent for free basically and having a good setted attacker, it's kind of nice. However, with Birdcage, if there's like a single way to tap that attacker's not doing anything. And speaking of attacks and good setted units. We have Queen coming down, giving draw 2, trash 1, recycle the hand, filter out what they need, digging for their DOFLAMINGO. And I did not see the event. Did you see the event?
Yeah, it's a
That-
Punk Gibson, which is an event that got so much play in the early days of the One Piece trading card game. Hasn't really had the same kind of resurgence recently. Hasn't seen a lot of play. Obviously, green as itself in a color hasn't quite had too much dominance in the meta. It's been a lot of black and blue decks with Sakazuki, obviously added that Gecko Moria, bit of
True.
red purple with Law and Luffy, and now yellow back in the meta as well, and in the mix with the Star Deck 13 leaders. But Punk Gibson's a really interesting event, and it seems like the game plan here from our DOFLAMINGO player was exactly how we called it early, was just to try and get towards that 10 Don turn, just extend the game out a little bit, and start controlling the board from there.
I mean, right now he has 6 Don, I believe,
Mhm.
active. So not active, but next turn he's gonna be at 8. So there could be the 7-cost kid coming down to pressure the board and making sure that he always stays under 10 Don if he needs to, and that's gonna be counted out by a 2K. So that
Yeah.
bonus gonna stay there for a long time. It's
Yeah.
another 6K swing.
And you've got to
Maybe.
attack 6s here as well because of that queen that forces the DOFLAMINGO player to either commit the block and the queen go down, as there's a spider web to counter out of the leader attack. But yeah, it means that either the attack that's blocked by queen, the queen has to go into the discard pile, or if you want to save it, you counteract with it as well.
And I believe we've seen all of the events. And oh,
Wow, that was
it's a
miss.
straight bottom deck. You can grab any of the 3 waters, right? So
Yeah,
considering
Three
that-
Brothers Bond, grab yourself either the Monkey D. Luffy, the Port Gasti Ace, or the Sabo, as there we see that is the Luffy.
So trashing on life to gain a draw and I think 8K. Yeah.
And it was the
Uh,
Sabo that was trashed, it looked like there.
So there we go. I mean, surely it's gonna be not vested in any shape or form because green does not have a way to do so. Surely. But let's see. I mean, it's 8 Don. Yes, a few cards that they can play. I'm expecting the 7-cost kit because playing it on curve is
Yeah.
quite nice.
Looks like you might be right. There it
Yeah.
is.
Ability, return 1 Don, and here's a 1K, gets a 1K buff. So
You always love combining this 7-cost kid with the blocker kid as well from, I think it was
true.
OPO 5, to be able to return that Don, immediately get it back as well. Just so much value that she's able to loop around there in that combination, as now we see the Baby 5 come down as well. That was the card that ideally we wanted to start with in the opening of this game, the Searcher, but having it now isn't too bad as well. You've got the blocker to protect it, as long as you're able to get the search for next turn and start finding those bigger characters to try and put the pressure on.
That is indeed true. However, having Birdcatch on the field, I don't think you would like to have I was about to say Kitten Killer. No, that's not the wrong deck.
The 5-cost, yeah, true.
The 5-cost in the deck, unless you have 2 7-cost kids on the board, then you can have 1 5-cost, because then you are minusing 2 Don every turn, and then you get 1 back. But we're gonna see what can be played. I think, if I'm seeing correctly, Ruffy is on 10 Don, or am I seeing some Don? No,
Nope.
he's
No,
on
he's
10.
on 10.
So he could. Alright, he's just using the ability, bashing a Kid Zabo, looks like.
Yeah.
To draw one more and buff him up. But does he even want to swing with the body? Is it worth it in that situation? I wouldn't think so. We see, oh, I think that's Hiyori.
Yeah, it looks like that's the Kazuki Hiyori. So able to cycle through the cards that are in hand with that final card that was in life, put something there, maybe a trigger that the black yellow Luffy player is wanting to try and find, as we are going to see that attack come through as well. Boosted up from the character's effect that was activated earlier in the turn.
So let's see how we're gonna deal with this one. If we're just gonna take that hit and hope that there's nothing crazy coming out of the life, or we're gonna counter or just even block with green.
Yeah,
Personally, take the hit.
Yeah, I think taking the hit isn't too bad here, unless you're able to. I think that's the Punt Gibson there. It was indeed. It'll rest down the Hiyori.
What? He's gonna stay rested. And yeah, we have a Kid Zabo. So revealing another Zabo from life. Surprise, surprise.
And then gets the ability as well. And this is where this black-yellow Luffy list starts becoming a problem as well, because that early combination with the Hiyori, able to put the Sabo onto the last life, as our black-yellow Luffy player was able to do, flip that final life with confidence with the effect. And now, all of a sudden, we can put Tudon underneath the leader Luffy and start putting some work in. We're going to start searching with Garp first, though, so it looks like there might be one piece maybe missing from the puzzle.
Oh,
Maybe
there's another Garp. Did I say Garp? I mean Sabo, yeah. Don't mind me.
It's early in the morning. It's all good.
Zabo being especially good in this situation, because Zabo just protects the entire board from the KO effect of the stage card. Because it's end of, the turn of DOFLAMINGO, and it be protected until the end of your next turn. So if they can just chain Zabos, then it's also fine. So they're gonna put one Ruffy at the bottom and another Zabo from the hand. And is it gonna be another Zabo?
Yeah, either that or maybe the Luffy. It is gonna be the Sabo.
almost played the wrong card from there. So that's another draw 2, flash 1, and that's a strong 11k body.
Yeah, and this is what I mean about this deck being just ridiculous when it gets going to that sort of 1 to 0 life region, is that it just keeps looping this effect. You've got the double Sabo blocker now on. We've not even seen the ace rush in yet. Well, undoubtedly we'll see that maybe in the next turn or two. But this is what this deck does, and this is why it's so scary. We have got there's a 5 plus 4 is the 9, and the 3 Don. I think that's a 12k attack. Swinging in on your 10 Don turn with just 3 Don attached to it as well. That is absurd maths there for this deck.
So we're gonna have a trigger, and looks like the card that you mentioned earlier.
It is, yeah. That Punk Gibson going to be able to rest down another one of those blocker Sabos, which continues to feed into the birdcage strategy, right? Obviously, you want all of your opponent's characters on the board rested, so that as soon as you get to that 10 Don range, you can use the extra effect of birdcage of that stage and send them all into the discard pile.
So Babyface is gonna dig a bit deeper, looking probably for a Tenko's DOFLAMINGO to keep the board locked down for next turn. However, we're gonna find. Did you see the card?
I think that is a new EB01 card, actually.
Yeah,
there it is. We're getting a good look at it. Off-white.
Why? If our beautiful host can blend in the card on the stream right now, that would be.
So it's a 2-cost
Beautiful.
counter event. Up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 4k during the battle. Then look at the top 3 cards from your deck, reveal a Don Quixote Pirates from it, and add it to your hand. Place the random at the bottom of your deck. So it's plus 4k counter, plus it's basically plus 4k and Desert Sparta for Doflamingo. But searching.
Oh, why? Why is that fair? That's not fair.
That's a really, really nice card, actually.
I mean,
that's really good.
You would consider that, oh, okay, it's a 2-cost event. You would not play that, but then remembering that Dofi gets like 2 done for free.
Exactly.
So yeah, we're looking at the board that is completely rested. So it's not gonna be fun for next turn. And you usually don't want to replace your cards with, that are already on the board. But there is a consideration to swing over the cards like Corona. But then giving them free board space is also just pointless. So we are having a look at their trash. I mean, there should be at least 2 Kidzabos in there. I think there's an ace in there too.
Yeah, I think there's at least 1 ace, maybe 2 as well. I think I saw 1 get discarded earlier, as we're going to see the Eustace Captain Kid swing in with a Don underneath it. Activate the effects. That'll grant leader an extra little bit of power. Remember that Luffy is still boosted as well for this turn with the power that was granted from the 3 brother kids. So that is still currently a 9k leader.
And we see an 8k swing towards, I would assume. Yeah, no, it must be towards Luffy to not enable them to get their leader ability up running, because trash in the top life is basically for free, if you consider it.
Yeah, and now this is where the weird thing happens with while you're under Birdcage, right? Is obviously because your primary attackers in this scenario, at least in terms of characters, that Luffy and that Perona, aren't restanding. You're in a bit of a predicament here. Obviously, you've got ways to rush things in with that ace, but it's whether you want to continue to feed into the Doflamingo's Birdcage strategy. I think that's 8 Don that's on the board at the moment. So next turn, he'll go up to 10. So that Birdcage is in range. We are going to see Gecko Moria come down, though. Going to grab another Sabo. And what's the second one going to be that we're going to be able to grab? It's a 4-cost or less, remember?
Yeah, but they usually try to. I mean, yeah, replacing the Zabos that are. Oh, okay, that's also fair.
Yeah. So here we go. So we're going to use the unit, the leader Luffy character Luffy effect to get ourselves down to 0 life. Slide the 2 remaining Don underneath the leader. Declare that ability as well. And start funneling yet again one of those Sabos. Undoubtedly, we are going to get double Sabo, in fact, just to give us that extra protection. And then Sabo 1 on the board, draw 2, trash 2. And then when that's resolved, Sabo 2, draw 2, trash 2, and that plus 4k again onto leader.
Yeah, it's indeed true. I've been also reminded by chat that there was a 9k swing and a 10k swing towards the leader and not the character, because he attached 3 Don. It would have been 8k, but because of Kid, it was a 9k swing, so I didn't thought about that one. But we're gonna have a Sabo Fest up here, playing down 2 Sabos, having a 9k leader, and swinging probably for 11k. Pitching, I think it was another Sabo, and I didn't see the second card that you picked.
Yeah, Yellow Sabo, I think, was definitely one of the cards.
But we're
Might have
gonna
been an ace as well.
see a swing. Question is it gonna be at life or at kit? Because
I mean, if it's at life, I think we can block here, or potentially counter as well. There is that off-white that we saw just a moment ago. So we're going to get plus 4k for the battle, and then this is going to act as a searcher as well for the top 3 cards. Going to be able to grab a DOFLAMINGO Pirates card off the top here. So it looks like continuing to dig for that 10 cost. Instead, we're going to grab a Vista
no,
off
it's
off the 3.
I think it was Viola, like the 2K.
Yes, yeah.
So but I don't think the attack was declared towards Doflamingo. I think it was towards Kid. Just from the math, because Buffy was swinging at 11 and Doflamingo was just at 6k, so it was probably against towards Kid. But I digress.
Exactly. Whatever the target, it was dealt with. It was counted away. Both players are happy to continue, and now we are at the DOFLAMINGO 10 on turn finally. So if that 10 cost is on the board, then or in the hand, I should say, then this is going to be really awkward for Black Yellow Luffy. It doesn't look like it's there right now. We got a queen again. On -1 or draw 2, trash 1. And this is how we sort of assumed that this matchup was going to go. Trashing away a birdcage.
I mean, you don't need a second one.
Not at the
That's it.
moment. Not while that's that 10 on turn at the end isn't going anywhere. I think this is smart, actually, at the moment. Obviously, while the Black Yellow Luffy player is recycling Sabos like this, obviously that effect is virtually always live. That your characters cannot be KO'd until the start of your next turn. So there's no point in sitting on 10 Don at the end of the turn and trying to crack the birdcage to get rid of everything and sort of pseudo board wipe in this situation. Just bide the time, keep that lock going down at the moment, try and find and work your way up to the 10 cost, which at the moment has evaded our DOFLAMINGO player, but undoubtedly will be in the deck in some capacity. I just want it there to be able, I want to find it, especially now with these Morias are starting to leak through.
That is true. However, I think just trying to pressure them and reducing the hand size, eventually they get to the point where they don't find all the combo pieces, so they cannot just keep on playing Movias to recycle the little kids. But we're gonna see another swing. I think it should be
6, 7, 8, 9.
it should be 10, because again it's 4 Don attached plus the buff from kids, so it should be 10 at lead. I would assume this is gonna get blocked. All right, we're gonna have a 2k on the side up from Ruffy and passing over the turn.
Yeah.
Doflamingo has 4 cards in hand.
Black Yellow
think-
Luffy only has 3, which is a bit of a precarious position for a Black Yellow Luffy player to actually be in. A lot of the times that I've faced against this deck, they're able to amass so many resources in hand because obviously they want to get to activating that leader ability as soon as possible with the likes of the Flampe, the likes of the Hioris, being able to just sort of take and cheat your own life into your hand. Only 3 cards in hand at the moment is a little awkward. Obviously, you've got the 1 blocker available to you for protection right now, but it's not really where you want to be. I can't count this deck out entirely because I know that it has a really great ingrained comeback mechanic with the ability to restack and reset your life. But as you were saying earlier, there's going to be a point in time where this deck runs out of gas, where the resources are gone, where all of the kids have been expended and used, and we're going to be sat here still under birdcage with just the one lowly blocker and one life, and still attack to take and the attack to go through. So it's if I'm the Doflamingo player right now, I'm certainly feeling a little bit more comfortable than the black yellow Luffy player, still sitting on 2 life, double blocker as well. So the Moria isn't too much of a problem right now. I'm quite happy with my position.
Indeed. If I would be the black yellow Luffy player, I would try to keep at least one Moria to myself, just in case there's gonna be next turn the Flamingo locking down my board. Because if on Dofi's side he has the entire board full of attackers and I have 0 life, I would feel threatened. And I mean, at this point, birdcage is just a hindrance, like just not enabling him to attack, be on the front side. Even that Moria that is not affected by birdcage is like, well, if I get cleared from the board, then what do I do?
Yeah, and that's why that our black yellow Luffy player is just having a real consideration about what we actually do and how we're actually going to be able to sequence anything during this turn, because it's really awkward. You're constantly living in fear now of that 10 drop coming down. Obviously, we didn't see it last turn. We didn't see it get found off any searches that happened last turn either. So that might be a little bit of consolation, a little bit of happiness in the back of the Luffy player's mind. But there's still that inherent fear of as soon as that 10 cost comes down, then we could be in some trouble.
So we see swing by Moria, and it's just getting blocked. That's good.
Yeah, no need to take any unnecessary life here. No need to take any unnecessary risks, especially if you feel like that you've got the game in hand or potentially on board for the next turn or two. Just use your blockers, use your resources while you've got them, and set yourself up for victory.
Indeed. So we see 2 Dong being touched, pitching, I think, a Flampe.
Yep.
And putting back the light is not doing me a favor. Oh, it's an ace. Alright, that's one thing.
I think the second one was an ace as well, from a quick glance at the artwork, as we said that the glare not necessarily too helpful, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter in terms of recursion too much, because that's more of a safety net, as Ace is going to rush in with the last remaining Don attached underneath it.
So
now
the question here is, right, and we're just taking, I guess, the 11k attack, or right.
So we blocked the ace swing. The leader attack was then countered as well, and no life needing to be taken there from Doflamingo. The 2 Don getting returned from what was the Queen and the Kid effect usages. We're back up to 10. Here's the 10 drop in hand. Is the Doflamingo coming? It looks like it's going to. Here we go. 10 cost Don Quixote, Doflamingo.
Probably locking down Moria, the leader, and one of the 5 costs. And the question here is, do you still want to swing? Or are you just gonna...
I don't know. It's awkward here as well, right? Because I think, is there only 1 card in hand for Luffy? There is only 1 card in hand. So actually, we could have just gone for game here.
If they wanted to, but now there's a 7k leader and...
Oh, of course, the 7k lead.
So
I think now there's a question about whether we're...
Yeah,
page? Oh, no, okay. So
the backcase didn't get off because...
Oh, -1, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah,
which again is just so smart there as well. Obviously, we said at the start of the matchup that you want to birdcage and pop all of the bodies that are on board, which in any other matchup typically you would, but not this, when it cares so much about the discard recursion, being able to funnel those big aces, Luffy, Sabos back into life. You want to hold them there for as long as possible in this matchup, and it's so clever to be able to just go, okay, I'm going to use this -1 effect that I've got to keep that dream alive and keep that strategy going while you're not doing anything about it, and while this kid's still being allowed to live. I'm just going to keep doing it and just keeping your board shut down in its entirety.
So we pitched another kid. I didn't see which one, but I think it was just ace. And we're gonna put back, I think, an ace and a Zabo.
Yeah.
And we are gonna trash the ace to just draw another card.
I think if the kid Sabo is in hand, he's just trying to get to the Sabo here, right? He just wants to get that extra blocker, which I think is what's going to happen. Oh, hang on.
And we see a conceit.
Yeah, fist bump.
He noticed that he couldn't do anything about it, and yeah, there was another
Wow.
Dofi in hand. So that's just a way of starving out your opponent. You just the game. So yeah, Ben. I mean, you've been in the One Piece scene for far longer than me. Is this how usually Doflamingo games go? I mean, OPO5 with Birdcage is like a different kind of style, but I noticed that Dofi is the kind of deck that just wants to grind out your opponent and
Yeah,
stop them.
absolutely. It was a really interesting matchup there, and like we said, obviously I've played against this Birdcage build a few months ago now, when it was in sort of its height of representation and popularity, but it feels like with the prevalence and the popularity of Black Yellow Luffy, we saw it right there, being able to use the Birdcage to just shut down all of those 5 costs, the Sabos, the Aces, and the Luffy itself, and just keep them there as well, with the uses of Queen, with the uses of that 7-cost useless Captain Kid to Dom -1, keep yourself under that important 10 Dom mark at the end of your turn when the card checks for it, was just fantastic. Just meant that the Luffy player couldn't really do much more, tried to play down that Gecko Moria a couple of turns before the end, but that 10-cost DOFLAMINGO immediately shutting it down, shut the leader down as well. And from there you saw the concession, and there was not much more that you could do. So really well executed and really well strategized.
Indeed. I also think that playing Birdcage and Dofi as of right now is a good idea, especially if the other deck that is pretty prevalent in the meta is Law, which is renowned to play just 4-cost bodies most of the time, besides of 1 or 2 exceptions. But yeah, that was our first round.